Hello there, welcome to Planet America. Here in the Situation Room, I'm John Barron.
I'm Licciardello, and we have a situation.
Tonight, the fight to redraw the political map in Texas is escalating.
We're never giving up, and we're never bending the knee. Are you with me?
Democrat state lawmakers have fled the state to try and block Republicans from redrawing the congressional map.
We're fighting for your families across the country.
The FBI is now getting involved in the case of those Texas Democrats.
Texas Democrats are risking jail to try and stop Trump rigging the next election.
We're going to talk to one of those Democrats hiding out, and we'll preview this week's Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. But first...
Fears the re-election of Donald Trump could see his political opponents under arrest and behind bars might be about to become a reality.
The voters of Texas, they don't want bold rhetoric. They want bold actions. Arrest the Democrats, bring it back. Let's get about the people's business.
Democratic members of the Texas state legislature fled to other parts of the country last week to deny quorum, delaying a Republican attempt to redraw federal congressional districts to give the Republican Party as many as 5 new seats in Washington, D.C. Without the Democrats, the Texas legislature can't vote to pass the new boundaries, which Democrats claim are an unfair gerrymander. Speaking in Chicago, one of the walkout leaders, Texas Democrat Gene Wu, was in no doubt who's behind this.
And Governor Abbott is doing this in submission to Donald Trump, so that Donald Trump could steal these communities' power and voice.
Yeah, this is because of Trump, all right. Texas Governor Greg Abbott originally didn't want to redistrict because he and Texas Republicans were concerned that the map drawers could have easily spread their Republican voters too thin and created some vulnerable Republican districts. It was particularly an issue because 4 of the 5 Republican districts that they're trying to create are majority Hispanic seats. And while Trump did really well with Hispanics in 2024, no one knows how they're going to vote in 2026. They could easily flip back to the Democrats. But Trump wanted his 5 seats, and he may well get them.
Yeah, it's looking that way. The Texas governor, meanwhile, is talking tough, threatening felony charges against the Democrats unless they return to the legislature, accusing them even of taking bribes.
I think based upon comments made by legislators themselves, they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas.
But the trouble for Governor Abbott is that his state police have no power to arrest somebody in another state. That's why President Trump was asked whether Democrats should be arrested by the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and brought back to Texas. And, well, he didn't say no.
Should the FBI get involved?
Well, they may have to. They may have to. No, I know they want him back. Not only the Attorney General, the governor wants him back. If you look, I mean, the governor of Texas is demanding they come back. So a lot of people are demanding they come back. You can't just sit it out. You have to go back. You have to fight it out. That's what elections are all about.
Even clearer, a threat. Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn explicitly asked the FBI to arrest the Texas Democrats, and he reckons that FBI Director Kash Patel approved his request. The governor of Illinois, that's the state the Democrats are mostly located in, responded, "I welcome the FBI coming to the state, but they won't be arresting anyone because there's no federal law that prohibits those Texas House Democrats from being here." I guess we'll see about that. Meanwhile, Greg Abbott has asked the Texas Supreme Court to remove some of those Democrats from office, claiming they've forfeited their seat. If representatives are free not to show up whenever they choose, then Texans simply don't have a representative government, Abbott said. This court should make clear that a legislator who does not wish to perform his duties will be stripped of them.
Yeah, indeed. And this isn't the first time there's been a walkout in Texas. It's been happening since the 1860s. They got arrested too, by the way. Before we go any further, though, Chaz, you did take a deep dive into this issue of gerrymandering on our weekend edition on Friday night. Can you give us a quick refresher as to what gerrymandering actually is and how it might work in Texas and beyond?
Sure. Basically, a gerrymander is when you redraw the congressional boundaries in your state so that people from your party win a higher proportion of those congressional districts than you would expect them to win. So, for instance, on the left we have the current Texas electoral map, and on the right we have the proposed new Texas map. As you can see, the new one has a lot less blue in it. They've gone from Republicans winning 25 of the 38 districts to Republicans winning maybe 30 of the 38 districts, and that's quite a lot of districts when Republicans only win about 56% of the vote in Texas. But the best way to show how gerrymandering works is to look at the 5 most messed with districts in Texas. In the 9th, they've changed a district where Democrats won 71% of the vote in 2024 to become a district where Republicans will now win 57% of the vote. In the 32nd, they've turned a 61% Democratic district into a 58% Republican district. And in the 35th, they've turned a 66% Democratic district into a 55% Republican district. So those are 3 likely Republican flips right there. The other 2 seats, a bit more borderline. They've turned a 53% Republican district into a 55% Republican district, and that seat has a very popular Democrat, Henry Cuellar, in it, so I think he might still win that one anyway. And the last seat has gone from a 52% Republican district also to a 55% Republican district with a popular Democratic incumbent. So that one will also be close. But of course, John, it doesn't end there. It never does. Because right now, California Governor Gavin Newsom is hoping to persuade California voters to retaliate against Texas by approving new congressional maps in California, with as many as 5 new Democratic seats. But it won't end there either. After Texas and California, there are a few other blue states that could possibly squeeze out a few more seats, but here's your Democrats' problem. A lot more red states could easily squeeze out extra seats for Republicans if they want to. So if this does become a free-for-all, the Democrats are going to come off second best.
Yep, and democracy probably 3rd or 4th best. The Texas Governor Greg Abbott's justification for what he admits in this clip is a gerrymander is that some districts that voted for Trump in the presidential level in Texas elected Democrats in their House district.
Gerrymandering can be done, or drawing lines can be done, on the basis of political makeup, as in Republican versus Democrat, and there's nothing illegal about that. And then when you look at the outcome of the most recent presidential election, all these districts that are being added are districts that were won by Trump.
So, he's right, gerrymandering is not illegal, moral, ethical, another question, but ticket splitting is also a part of democracy. It's not a reason to redraw maps. And President Trump's rationale, Chaz, is even blinder to America's political system. He seems to think that the House of Representatives should in fact be based on proportional representation instead.
I got 40% in Massachusetts, and yet they have 100% of the vote in terms of Congress. So there's no Republican, there's no anything. So we should have 40%. You know why? They redistricted, and they've done it all over the place.
Actually, not to quibble, but he got 36% statewide in Massachusetts. Still, he is right, Democrats won all 9 House districts because Republicans did not run a candidate in 5 of them, and they didn't get better than 44% of the vote in any district at all. Republicans would have to massively gerrymander Massachusetts themselves in order to win a single seat there.
Look, if Trump wants proportional representation, that'd be fine by me. It'd be much better. But sadly, I doubt Trump really believes that, because when he was being a little bit more honest, his logic was a lot more straightforward.
We are entitled to 5 more seats.
It's as simple as that. Also, while Massachusetts' electoral boundaries may not be as unfair as Trump suggests, there is no doubt that Democrats do love a bit of gerrymandering as well. Just look how contorted the boundaries are in the state where many Texas Democrats are currently hiding, Illinois. This is Illinois' District 13, this is Illinois' District 16, and this is Illinois' District 17, all looking like something out of an Escher painting. Look, the Republicans do more gerrymandering, John, no doubt about that. Some Democratic states even have independent commissions drawing their electoral lines, for example, which is great. But this is an all-American problem.
Yeah. Meanwhile, over on Fox News, kidding, not kidding, Jesse Waters seems to be all for throwing democracy out the window altogether because he says this is war.
I believe we should just gerrymander the bejesus out of these maps and just destroy Democrat representation where we can. Yeah. And it's just, we're in a war now. We're in a war, right? They screwed around, and now they're about to find out.
Tongue-in-cheek or not, he's not the only one waging war, John. This is New York's Democratic Governor, Kathy Hochul.
This is a war. We are at war. And that's why The gloves are off, and I say, bring it on.
Once again, there's some real mutually assured destruction happening here, John.
Yeah, sometimes when you fight fire with fire, you just burn the whole place down. So, why are Trump and his allies even going to such lengths to try and win just a few extra House seats? There are 435 seats in the United States House of Representatives, meaning you need 218 for a bare majority. Republicans have 219. Democrats have 212. 3 Democrats have died this year, leaving their seats vacant. 1 Republican has resigned. So it is on a knife edge, and all 435 seats are up for re-election again in November 2026. In Trump's first midterm elections back in 2018, he lost 41 seats. In the past 50 years, on average, the president's party has lost 23 seats. And if Republicans lose their House majority while Trump stays president, his ability to pass legislation grinds to a halt, except for the most bipartisan of issues. And if Democrats have the overall majority, they also have the majority in House committees, which will suddenly resume their oversight role and make life very, very difficult for Donald Trump. Remember, it was in Trump's first term when Democrats won a House majority. They impeached him not once, but twice, Chaz.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If Democrats win the House in 2026, Trump's legislation just ends right then and there, nothing else. And then 2 years after that, there'll be one hearing after another, like you say, probably also with a government shutdown thrown in there and the impeachment you described.
Something to look forward to, I'm sure. Which leads us to the next part of Donald Trump's plan. The current congressional map is based on the last US census in 2020. They're supposed to happen every 10 years, but they can be redone after 5. The Constitution requires the whole number of persons in each state to be included in the census to determine how the President and members of Congress are chosen. But instead of the whole number of persons being counted, Donald Trump has another idea.
People in our country illegally will not be counted.
So not the whole number of persons, just the American persons, not those illegal persons. But it seems like a clear breach of the 14th Amendment, which was originally put in there to make sure that Native Americans and freed slaves were counted as persons and given equal protection under the law. But of course, President Trump has the constitutional arbiter, the United States Supreme Court, on his side. He appointed 3 of them, so we'll see about that.
Yeah, some people are also saying that the mid-decade census is also against the law. I'm not so sure about that one. If we do look at the Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, it says the census shall be made within every subsequent term of 10 years. Within 10 years, John. So that sounds legal to me, to be honest. But legal may not be the limiting factor so much as practical. Because apparently a mid-decade census just isn't feasible, at least not an accurate census. Apparently censuses take so long to organise that boffins are already preparing the 2030 census right now. And trying to insert another census in the middle there would just make both censuses inaccurate. But why is Trump so keen on a new census as part of his plan? There's 3 reasons, John. 1, a new census means a legitimate excuse for redistricting and more gerrymandering, which he likes. 2, the last census in 2020 was very affected by the COVID lockdown, and they significantly miscounted more than a quarter of the states. And unfortunately for Trump, the most undercounted states were mostly red. Arkansas, Florida, Illinois blue, Mississippi, Tennessee and Texas. And the most overcounted states were mostly blue. Delaware, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New York, Ohio's red, Rhode Island and Utah's red. So right now, the Democrats have an inbuilt congressional advantage because their districts are drawn based on the incorrect census from before. And Trump is keen to erase that advantage. Thirdly, Trump is super keen to eliminate illegal immigrants from counting in the drawing up of electoral boundaries as well. Although honestly, that cuts both ways. 2 of the 3 states with the most illegal immigrants are Texas and Florida. So if the courts let Trump not count illegal immigrants, that could have unpredictable results, John. Either way, he ain't going down without a fight. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're right there. For more on this, we're joined by Reynolds. He's one of the Texas Democratic state representatives who fled the state to avoid a vote on all of this. Ron Reynolds, welcome to Planet America. I wonder if you can give us a bit of a sense as to what the last week has been like for you and your colleagues. You're there in hiding. Do you actually fear arrest?
Well, I can tell you the last week has been surreal. From the moment we left Texas in the comfort of our families and our homes, traveling out of state to break quorum, it's been a whirlwind. And certainly when we left, we knew that we were breaking quorum and that there would be a $500 a day fine because they changed those rules. But we didn't know that there would be threats of having the FBI very serious to look at apprehending us, and that there would be threats to take us to jail, and even more so to remove us from our seats as state representatives. I've had a Attorney General Ken Paxton to serve a lawsuit on me and 12 other of my colleagues, a total of 13 of us, to have us removed from office. So the stakes are very high. We've had a bomb threat at the hotel that we were in. So there's so much that we didn't anticipate, but all of us still remain committed to the mission to stop this racial gerrymandering that is proposed from these congressional maps in Texas.
And how do you respond to people who say, well, Democrats gerrymandered plenty as well? Half these Texas Democrats have fled to Illinois. Look at the electoral map over there.
Well, I would beg to differ. I mean, what's unique about this is that this is a rare mid-decade redistricting proposed by President Trump because he specifically stated that he wanted 5 Republican seats. That is unprecedented. Normally, a census happens every 10 years, and then you do redistricting after that to reapportion for population shifts. But this is a mid-decade redistricting. And the specific number of seats that President Trump requested, those are the number of Republican seats are in the Republican controlled legislature, the map that was released. And so this is very rare. You don't ever see a redistricting process happen like this. So I would say that the other redistricting efforts, there's always the party in power. They typically try to do what's best for their party. That happens in politics. But this specific redistricting, first of all, is unprecedented. Second of all, it was racially, the lines in terms of the congressional seats, they disproportionately target and impact African-American and Hispanic citizens and communities. And those are the majority of the population in Texas. Texas is 60% minority, only 40% Anglo. And so this is what I would say is different from other states that have done redistricting.
And Representative Reynolds, what is the plan from here? Can you actually stop this redistricting push from going ahead, or is this just about a delay and a process of raising awareness of the gerrymandering issue?
Well, that's a great question. And I would tell you that our goal, when we left the state capitol in Austin, our goal was to stop this bill from happening. We know that we couldn't stop it indefinitely because the Governor Abbott, has the ability, and he said it on the record over and over, he would call special session after special session after special session. So we would have to be out of the state indefinitely, right? So we know that's impossible. That's not practical, right? All of us have families and everything else in between. So our goal, honestly, is to be able to slow it down, for one. For two, to inspire other blue state governors to respond in kind. So basically our mission, our goal is to make sure that we level set whatever gains President Trump has, because he's not just stopping with Texas. He's talked about Indiana. We had the vice president go to Indiana. He's going to other red states of Missouri, potentially Georgia. So this is our way of leveling the playing field. That's what we intend to do with our holdout, to basically level set what President Trump is attempting to do with Texas.
Finally, Representative Reynolds, what would your preferred solution be for gerrymandering nationally?
Well, I do prefer that it's independent and to take out all the partisan politics, because quite frankly, it happens on both sides of the aisle. I would be a hypocrite if I was here to tell you right now that only Republicans gerrymander, because that's not true. Democrats gerrymander too. And my grandmother taught me a long time ago as a young child, and it still sticks with me today, that two wrongs don't make a right. So I'm not advocating that it should be fair for one side or another. I think there should be an independent, nonpartisan commission that is in charge of these things, and it should be made up of both Democrats and Republicans, not to give anybody an unfair advantage. That is the only way that we level set and create a level playing field.
Texas Representative Ron Reynolds, thank you very much indeed for joining us on Planet America this week.
It's an honor to be on with you. I thank you for covering this, because this isn't just a Texas issue. This has been a national issue that has implications for the country. And I think it will impact the balance of power, specifically in the U.S. House of Representatives, based on how the redistricting efforts go across the country.
In 2012, Colorado and Washington became the first states to legalize recreational marijuana. Since then, 22 other states have followed. Advocates at the time promised safer products and smaller prison populations, not to mention a boom in tax revenue. So, did legal weed deliver on its promise? Here's Melina Wicks with the briefing room.
A majority of Americans now live in a state where recreational marijuana is legal. So how's that going? If you ask people who enjoy marijuana, pretty good. And that's not just the weed talking. The percentage of US adults who smoke marijuana has more than doubled since 2013. And there are now more people who use it daily than alcohol. Some benefits of decriminalization have been largely as advertised, with big reductions in marijuana possession arrests, which once swept up hundreds of thousands of Americans a year, particularly Black Americans, who were arrested at 3.64 times the rate of white people, despite using marijuana at similar rates. So legal marijuana has been great for people who enjoy getting high and don't enjoy being accused of crimes. But that doesn't mean it's all been smooth sailing. Nearly a third of adult users have reported symptoms of cannabis use disorder, meaning they continue to use the drug despite significant negative effects on their lives, with about 3 million of those people considered addicted. Legalization is consistently associated with increases in hospitalizations for a range of conditions. And a large study published in June found using marijuana doubles the risk of dying from heart disease. But to be fair, lots of things that increase the risk of heart attacks are legal, including dangerous and addictive substances like tobacco, alcohol, and Twinkies. But as much as it seems like Americans have embraced legal weed, a lot of them aren't buying it, literally.
Despite the growth of the legalized marijuana industry, most pot is still sold on the illegal black market. Much of what's grown here will be shipped across the country and sold far cheaper than legal weed.
Illegal marijuana is cheaper, and not just because your more traditional dealer gets to work from home. Because cannabis is illegal at the federal level, the industry doesn't get many of the tax breaks other businesses do, forcing them to pay billions extra, which adds to the cost. It's no wonder only 27% of US cannabis businesses are profitable. Growers and retailers face so many regulations designed to prevent illegal sales, it actually encourages illegal sales. In fact, one of the few things not regulated by the government is how strong you're allowed to make the products, which is kind of the important part from a health perspective. Canada's products these days are so strong they contain even higher concentrations of THC than Snoop Dogg.
I enjoy it for medical reasons.
When it comes to legalized marijuana in the States, there's no going back. 87% of Americans say it should be legal in at least some circumstances. But it's undeniable that the increasing legalization of marijuana has had some considerable growing pains. Oh, you know what? There's a treatment for that now.
This week, Donald Trump gave himself a new title, the Peace President. Those two men standing either side of President Trump are the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan, two former Soviet republics who've been periodically fighting over the region of Nagorno-Karabakh, a mostly Armenian region inside Azerbaijan, and thousands of soldiers and civilians have been killed over the years. Trump described this signing ceremony on the weekend as a
big, beautiful honor to welcome everyone to the White House. for this very historic peace summit between Armenia and Azerbaijan. It's really a great thrill for me.
He seems thrilled. Meanwhile, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard soon popped up on Fox News to pump Trump's tyres and declare that this was
a truly historic day. And, you know, under this president's leadership, this historic peace deal has been truly made into reality.
Truly reality or not, this isn't the peace deal that Trump promised he'd get done long before now.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be settled quickly. I will get the problem solved, and I will get it solved in rapid order.
Not such rapid order as it turned out, and another Trump-imposed deadline for a ceasefire passed on Friday without an end to hostilities. But after talks between Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Russia's Vladimir Putin in Moscow last week, the American president had an announcement.
The highly anticipated meeting between myself as President of the United States of America and President Vladimir Putin of Russia will take place next Friday.
President Trump, of course, has been saying for weeks that the Russian and Ukrainian leaders need to meet first before he sits down with them both. But Putin keeps saying, yet.
I've been repeatedly saying that I, in general, have nothing against it. This is possible. But before that, certain conditions should be created. And unfortunately, we are still far from creating such conditions.
And those conditions, not just on meeting Zelensky, but on a ceasefire itself, include Russia taking large chunks of Ukrainian land. And that is still a red line for the Ukrainian president, even if President Trump keeps talking about some kind of land swap.
Свою землю окупанту українці не будуть. Україна готова до реальних рішень, які можуть дати мир. Будь-які рішення, які проти нас, будь-які рішення, які без України, вони одночасно і рішення проти миру.
So, heading into this summit, the message to Trump was pretty clear there, Chaz. Don't sell us out in Alaska, and Europe is with us, even if you're not.
Yeah, Zelensky's concerns didn't come from nowhere either. Apparently, Putin has told America he'd agree to a complete ceasefire in return for taking Ukraine's entire Donetsk region, which is interesting because, as you say, Ukraine still controls sizable chunks of that region, including cities and defence lines that are now key to Ukraine's defence. So if there was a round two of the Ukraine war in a few years, Russia would have a much easier time of attacking because they already would then hold their defensive lines. Throw in the fact that the American negotiator Steve Witkoff tried to get a trilateral meeting going between Putin, Trump and Zelensky, but Moscow left it without comment. It seems like Putin is still pushing Trump around a bit, and that would be making Ukraine very nervous about this Alaska meeting indeed.
It's the bloc's biggest challenge yet. These young lovers have just got the keys to a deceased estate, but Donald is keen to renovate.
Rat-infested, graffiti-infested shithole.
He has a bold vision.
We're putting up a beautiful, almost 100-foot tall American flag.
What does he have in store for the first room reveal?
So this is the Oval Office.
The theme is unmistakable.
That's actually their gold, all gold look.
What a budget buster.
So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
Next, it's time to rip up the historic Rose Garden.
Are you paving over the grass here?
Every blade of grass is gone.
The grass it doesn't work.
Next week, Donald begins a 650-seat ballroom on the White House lawn.
I think it's going to be beautiful.
And I give Donald his room scores.
This is the first time that anyone in block history has received 3 zeros, a score of absolutely nothing.
It's the block. White House teardown.
That's a bit harsh, Scotty, I would have thought. That's it for another trip to Planet America. We will be back at the same time next week.
Join us for the weekend edition on ABC News on Friday night. Both shows are also on ABC iView, YouTube and Facebook. See you there.
Bye-bye.